Hello, welcome to Unscripted Gaming. Today I'm going to do something a little different. Normally Josh and I like to bring up a topic, crack open a beer, and just talk for about 10 to 20 minutes. But this week, since Josh is out doing some things with his wife, I thought, seeing how as I normally lead these things, I would make just a single podcast. And actually, it is scripted this time. I actually took the time to write out my thoughts and feelings about this particular topic. So I wanted to go ahead and forward a question. What is the best video game ever made? So, what are the determinations that make the best video game ever made? Would it be the story? I disagree, that would be a little too subjective. Some people would agree a good story or a bad story might come off as very trite or very dull. What about aesthetics in a game? Now, don't get me wrong, aesthetics can definitely improve a game, but aesthetics alone don't make a good looking game. Sometimes the best looking video game ever made, if it plays like crap, well, it plays like crap. How about the multiplayer aspect of a game? Alright, so let's all be honest. If a game can't stand to its own single player experience, then it can never stand to a multiplayer experience. The individual must be able to have fun with the game. As if multiple people want to have fun with a game, that should be more of a bonus than it should be a necessity. So, I would say that for there to be the best game ever made, it must be mechanically sound and easily accessible for anyone that's willing to try the game. This is why, in my opinion, the best game ever made would have to be Tetris, invented by one man, Alexei, I'm going to pronounce that wrong, Pajitnov, I do believe. So I'm going to call him Mr. Pajitnov. So here's a brief history lesson about the game. Tetris was written by Mr. Pajitnov as he was testing a new form of hardware at the Computer Science Center in Moscow. It started off just as a text-based game with just shapes from old computer words and used about 4 squares to add variety and difficulty to the game. Originally there were about 5 squares to create different shapes to add variety and difficulty, but this created way too many shapes for the game, he decided. The game was created to have the game actually has a very long and storied legal battle, as Mr. Pajitnov didn't even get any royalties for his creation of the game until 1996, which is about 12 years after he created the game in 1984. That being said, the game did come out in 1988 from Nintendo for the original Game Boy, which I personally had one of those classic Game Boys. And with all of the classic Game Boys, it came bundled with a copy of Tetris. And this game truly opened my mind how simplistic yet addicting a good video game can be. Honestly, I must have burned about 8 packs of batteries when I first got this for my 10th birthday. Mostly on Tetris alone. But now that I think we've established that, maybe I have a bit of a slight nostalgic bias to the game, let's talk about why I think it's one of the best games ever made. First, the concept is fiendishly simple. You drop one of 7 blocks that you're presented into the Tetris zone, and you are attempting to form a horizontal line with one of those 7 different shaped blocks. Once it's formed, the line kind of erases itself, and you're rewarded with some points. The more points you get are based on how many lines you can clear, and it opens up more space for you to continue to clear more lines. The goal is to keep from reaching the very top of the screen, because if you do, it's game over. The maximum number of lines you are capable of clearing is 4 lines, which is called a Tetris. In most games, for every 10 lines you clear, the speed at which the blocks fall from the top of the screen gets faster and faster. And that's about it. Short and sweet. Some versions of the game have an ending coded into it, since as I described, there doesn't seem to be any proper way to end the game. To get the coded ending, you have to continue to play the game at the fastest speed possible, getting the most amount of points possible, to where you can get no more points and the game can go no faster. After then, when you eventually do get a game over, the game just kind of ends. In the Game Boy version, you get a rocket ship, or maybe some people dancing. I do believe they're dancing like Cossack, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, the game doesn't necessarily end, and technically speaking, the game will not end. And the only way the game will end is due to your mental exhaustion, or because, mathematically speaking, you can get too many of a particular type of block, particularly the S-shaped block and the Technomino-shaped block, the Tetris block as it's called. And too many of those can create the possibility of having blank space, thereby meaning it is impossible for you to keep going on. But for that to happen, you'd have to be going at the fastest speed for several hours in a row. Yet, keep this in mind, the game is so simple that literally anyone can play it, and anyone, after about maybe half an hour of playing it, can play it very well. You don't need to consult any online manuals or user guides or find out any hidden mechanics to the game just to make it easier. You don't have to determine any friend or foe factors, and any loss that you experience in the game feels like it was your own fault. Not that the game cheated you out of something. Of course, some of you may be saying, well, I should have gotten that line block a lot sooner, but some versions of the game actually have a statistics rating to the left side, like the version I'm playing in this video. It shows you how often you've been getting blocks, thereby statistically speaking, you should be getting the about average for each block in the game. So because of this concept, Tetris has been put on almost every device with a screen meant for entertainment purposes. It was even the first game to be played in space on the classic Game Boy, no less. So, for this reason, amongst many others, I would say Tetris is one of the best games ever made, mechanically speaking. Maybe one day we'll get into which game has the best story or which game looks the best, but that might be another topic for a different time. Well, once again, this is Stan from Unscripted Gaming, doing a very scripted portion of gaming, and hopefully me and Josh will be back at it in about a week. Thank you very much, and have a good day.